Hello and welcome to this episode of the Social CMO Show. This is your host Shilpi Agarwal, and my guest today is the Chief Marketing Officer of Requested. Please welcome Dani Loebs. Hi
Hi,
Dani, welcome to the show.
hi. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Welcome. So Dani, tell us what is Requested?
Requested is a free mobile app where you can book a reservation and pay with your phone at local restaurants and bars. So I have it here. You can find it at requestedapp.com. But basically, it is a cross between Hotel Tonight and Uber, but for restaurants. So you have a list of places. They're curated of local venues. So it's in order of places that are closest to you. All you have to do is look through the list. You click on the place you want to go, and then you can book the reservation straight through the app. Once you arrive at the restaurant, or in this case, a coffee shop, they already have your tab open for you and your table set. So you can go, you can order, and then just leave, basically like Uber. So it acts as your method of payment. It calculates your tip for you, and you can adjust the percentage of the tip in the app itself. And basically, it's just a nice, lightweight way to explore new restaurants and get a reservation and pay with your phone. So it's all that convenience in one package.
Fantastic. So is it available on Android as well as iPhone?
That's right, yes.
Okay, cool. So what is your product differentiator?
So there are a couple of different reasons why our product's a little different from what's out there. To begin with, people are really used to OpenTable, which is a fantastic app and a website app too, where you can make reservations, but they never really handled the payment method. So that's a way that we're different. OpenTable is sort of looking into that right now, but our distinguishing factor is really goes back to our origin, which is we are run by people who worked in restaurants. Our CEO and founder actually owns a restaurant. And when he came up with the concept of Requested, his mission was to fill seats at restaurants and bars when they were slow. So that was the mission that Requested sought to achieve. You couldn't really see it in the app right now, but the tables that are available and the spots that are available have these little blue markers that say 15% off, 20%. Yeah, okay. So we actually offer dynamic pricing. It's like real-time Groupon that restaurants can activate when they need it. So if a restaurant is slow, they can push a discount out through the app for consumers to see and give a little extra incentive for people to come in right in that moment. It's on-demand, real-time lead generation for restaurants. And consumers benefit as well, because if they're willing to go at a time of day that's a little strange, they can get a great deal on their dinner. On the flip side, if a restaurant is very busy, we have premium tables as well. So a restaurant might hold one or two tables for Requested that aren't available as reservations normally, and charge maybe 5 to 10% more on the bill in order for a customer to secure that spot at that really busy time of day. So our differentiator is the fact that we have the seamless payment system, but on top of that, for our vendors, our restaurants, we allow this option for them to drive demand when they need it and make a little bit more money when they have a lot of demand, and really capitalize on that. So again, it sort of takes from that Uber theme, but instead of surge pricing, which everybody kind of hates but understands, we have the option that consumers can choose when they want to go out and eat and what price they'd like to pay. We also just have straightforward reservations as well, and they can enjoy the convenience of paying through their phone, not worrying about the tip, not arguing with their friends who's paying. You know, it's all just handled in the app.
I see. So it's like Groupon on demand.
In a way, it's like a lot of different things. So it's like Hotel Tonight, where you're getting the best deal. It's like Uber because you're paying through your phone. There's sort of a Groupon aspect because you're pushing these deals out, but it is, yeah, real time on demand. Yeah, you got it. There's a lot of layers.
A lot of layers. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So are there any apps out there that are doing similar to what you're doing, or they're just doing bits and pieces and you are the only one doing all in one?
That's a great question. So, we have the restaurant industry and tech in restaurants is really kind of this hot market right now. Everybody's trying to figure it out. We have this unique perspective because we actually work in restaurants and we're run by restaurant owners. So we have that real close connection. But
And you
there are
understand
some
the
folks.
pain point better, right? Because you own a restaurant. The founder, CEO owns a restaurant. So you understand the
Yes.
pain points better than someone else from an outside.
Exactly. We've all worked in restaurants. We know kind of the pain points of the servers as well as the POS systems that restaurants use. There are so many of them that we incorporate with. But so we have, but there, just to name a few other folks in the space, there's Open Table. They have their app now. They have a loyalty program, and we actually are working on that as well. The Starbucks app is sort of similar in the fact that you can load up your Starbucks app and pay through your phone there, but that's only limited to one store, whereas we have a whole network.
Okay.
We actually have one of our developers was one of the developers of the Starbucks app, so we have that in our background. Yeah. So we've got kind of a cool synergy there. But then there's also Reserve, which is another reservation app that's growing, and they sort of have that. They actually came out of Uber's incubator, so they have that sort of mindset of that seamless payment, but they don't do any kind of dynamic pricing, and they really are focused on the higher end of the market. So it's restaurants that are going to run maybe $100 to $300 bills, whereas we're focusing on pretty much everybody. So we have sort of a wider net. Because we're doing that dynamic pricing portion as well.
The question just popped in my mind, Dani.
Yeah.
This is great for like mom and pop shop type restaurants, right? How will it work for like a chain of restaurants? Because one location might be busier than the other at a particular time of the day, and every restaurant also. How will it even work for chains, or is it only meant for mom and pop shops?
That's a fantastic question. At the moment, we are purely for independent mom and pop shops. And the reason is because that's our industry. That's who we are as well. And those are really the shops that we want to keep alive in communities and local economies. And part of this app as well is connecting consumers to great restaurants that they might not have heard of. So we actually are very picky in the restaurants and coffee shops and delis, that we choose. They have to have Yelp ratings of 3 stars or above. They have to be independently owned. We are not opposed to going into the franchise and the chain kind of market. But when we think about that, they have to be pretty strong independent owners or managers of each individual spot.
Dynamic pricing may not work for the chains, right? Because they have their fixed price and they cannot really like change their pricing on the fly. So that might not be a good model for them.
But then again, they all do happy hour, which is a form of dynamic pricing.
Sure.
So part of it is that, they might want to use the app as a method like Open Table for people to set reservations, and then they can use it to talk about their happy hour pricing and push that out. However, we really, when a consumer sends a request, it's the owner, it's the manager that actually gets it, and they get a profile of the consumer. So they get to know who's coming in, they get to know a little bit about them, they can set up their table with their name on it. So it's creating this really cool personal experience. And we're open to doing that with, franchises and chains. But like I said, they would have to have a really strong manager who has that like mom and pop mentality to really get that right experience. So again, it's, not something we're targeting right now because we really support local. But, there are a lot of great local people who own franchises out there, who might have a little more flexibility and be able to kind of make it their own. And we're really happy to help with that too.
Sure. And maybe in the long run, when you have worked out ironed out all the details, then you can be big. Yeah. All right. So since your launch in March, you have already pivoted a couple of times, I think more than like 2 or 3 times. What was the reason why you had to like change the product so many times since March?
Well, we are definitely a data-driven company and very product-focused.
We love data-driven companies.
So because we kind of launched the product with users in mind, and we have to talk to 2 markets. We have the restaurant owners and the servers and that whole side of it, and then we have the users themselves. So we're designing a product for these 2 groups which meant we had to have constant feedback and communication and testing with those groups. So in doing that, and then looking at the data kind of en masse to see the trends, it made us really see that there were huge areas of improvement, I'll say. So what we found was that the product was very complex for a user to figure out at first. So first we had this name your own price feature, which we love and will probably come back in the future. But it was a name your own price on the consumer side where they would kind of put a bid out there and haggle with the merchant. And say like, hey, I want to come in at 2 p.m., but I want to pay 30% off. What do you think? And the merchant could say yes or no. What we realized is that merchants or restaurant owners are very busy people,
Busy.
and so they didn't have
Like
time.
price line. Yeah, you're trying to add to.
Yeah. So they didn't have time to answer all of these requests that were coming in. And so the people who sent the requests would think that the app didn't work, even though it was working, but like, because they weren't getting answers. So it would just expire, and it was kind of a bummer for a lot of people. When it did work, it was really cool and fantastic. But because of those factors, because the restaurant owners are busy running their restaurants, it became more of a burden for them to haggle with people all day long than to just put out there what they were willing to offer and get people to come in. So, so we, like I said, we're thinking of bringing back that feature. We do love name your own price, but it wasn't our core brand. Our core brand is connecting great consumers, great, diners, people who love good food with fantastic independent merchants and helping them fill seats when they're slow and, get people really great tables, maybe when it's really hard to get them. So it's kind of this, great relationship between the two that we're trying to facilitate. So, with that in mind, we weren't married to name your own price as the feature we had to have. So it allowed us to be flexible and figure out like what's the best way of achieving this mission. So yeah, so that's why we did it. And it was through, this is our third big change. So we came out with a new version in June, and then we tested it for a month. We got all the feedback, and we came out a new version in mid-August. So it's been out for about 2 weeks, and it has exploded. Yeah, yes, but it has exploded. Even with these changes, we've gotten 50% growth month over month when it comes to reservations. So we know that the product is working, that people want it, but making it simpler was the key. And now we're just like, we hit our sweet spot. We're really excited. Yeah.
Okay, so instead of name your own price, now what do the merchants do? They just put out a price over there, like it's 30% less or 10% less than your bill. Like what has changed right now?
So we have some very, very, obviously, like I said, we come from the restaurant industry, so very, very savvy people on staff that work with our merchants very closely. Coco Barnum, our CMO, is in charge of merchant onboarding. Katie Stein, our merchant ambassador. Randy Balzerano, our national sales director. So we've got these fantastic team members who are very, very ingrained in the restaurant industry, and they work like kind of like an account executive with each restaurant, because each restaurant has a very different circumstance. They have a different profit margin. They're not all one type of restaurant. We have a coffee shop, and then we have a top of the line bistro that's really trendy. And so they're going to have different pain points, different margins, and different needs. So we really work one-on-one with them to figure out exactly what kind of offers they can be putting out. So we're a strategist that works with them, and we help them. But that's, if that answers your question, yeah. I hope that helps.
That seems like it would be, they would have to know the pattern beforehand. Like, okay, Mondays are slow between 2 to 4, or things like that. But what if there is a demand which they don't know offhand, like it's not foreseen, it's not from the pattern. Can they still take advantage of the dynamic pricing, or it's only if it's part of the strategy can they do that?
Well, that's actually something that we are testing with a few merchants right now, and we're calling it the remote control, where they can push out a different offer exactly when they need it. So it's real time. So it's sort of like Hotel Tonight. If anybody's in the hotel industry watching, they know exactly kind of what that platform is from that perspective, where it's almost like a little stock market where you get to see what your competitors are doing and all of that. So it really enables merchants to in the future, and like I said, it's kind of in development right now, where we're pushing that a little bit later, but get that offer out there exactly when they need it, and even a limited supply. So it's like, I've got one table open right now, and I want to get it filled. What do I have to do? And they can, go in the app and push it out there.
But that's in the works. So right now it's
Yes.
it's purely strategically based on data, and when your tables are slow, you already know when they are fast, when they are going slow, and what you need to do.
And we're available to them hourly, every day. And so these things do change, but at the moment, we work with them just to make sure it's all, done properly in the app and everything. Yeah. So
okay, so let's shift gears a bit. We've talked enough about the app, I think. Let's talk about the growth hacking part of the app.
Yeah.
Since you are the chief marketing officer, I want to know, what are you doing first of all, what defines growth hacking for you as requested CMO, and what are you doing to achieve that goal?
Well, I think the first question I kind of touched upon was our main growth metric right now is reservations. So if we are getting reservations, then we know that the product is working and that people are connecting, they're getting to the restaurants, we're filling the seats. And so that right now is our main point of success. Obviously, we're going to be looking at users and repeat usage and make sure that there's retention and that people are starting to build habits with the app itself. And to be honest, they are. So putting in the context of what growth hacking means, really it's, are we achieving our mission? And we measure that by reservations. And, having the proper measurements and strategies in place where we can push that through and keep going.
So what's the aggressive goal for you? Like, is it like 10 new restaurant merchants every day on board, or like what's a goal for you?
Well, I'm specifically focused on the user side of things,
Okay.
more so than the merchant recruitment. So we have a whole I mentioned a merchant team. We've got a sales director bringing those on. And right now we are focused on Sacramento as our test market. So we did launch previously in San Francisco and Roseville, which is to the east of us. So these are 3 different market sizes for us. Roseville's a market of about 100,000 people. Sacramento's more like 1 million, to 500,000, and then San Francisco, of course, is the largest. So because we're headquartered in Sacramento, we decided to focus there and really get the rhythm right, get the formula so we could take it other places. And so we're kind of still in that phase right now. But some things that are working very well in Sacramento, which I should say is a fantastic place to start because it is the breadbasket of the nation. I mean, within 150 miles of us here in Sacramento, you have the food supply for the entire country, so
Wow.
Yeah. So it's definitely, we call it the farm to fork capital. But if you kind of want the best food in the world that's fresh, that was picked this day, the chefs are making it right here in these great mom and pop restaurants, Sacramento is the base. So we're very, very fortunate that we're actually able to start here because we're kind of spoiled. We have the best food in the world, like right here in Sacramento. It's kind of a secret, but it's true. Back to your question, I'm kind of rambling about Sacramento because it's lunchtime and I haven't eaten. And I'm like so hungry, but but looking at the growth tactics, because we have this pride in our food here in Sacramento, it's been a great community to grow. So we've recruited people. Can I just talk about tactics? Is that kind of what we're on? One social media strategy, since we're at the social media show, is we created a secret Facebook group for our first core users. We call it the Founders Club. And these are people in Sacramento who are extremely passionate about food, about Sacramento itself, and about really helping new companies and new technologies and new ideas flourish right here. So it's a fantastic group of users who are devoted to using the app once a week, giving us the feedback, forgiving us when things break, and helping us fix them. And we reward them with, community events. We've all kind of become closer friends. We have special parties and appreciation for the founders. We also give them cashback credit every month. So it's a pretty tight group. We do actually accept applications for people who want to join the Founders Club because we have a little more space for people.
How many people do you have right now?
30. 30. And so it's really, really small in this club, but they're just this priceless group of people who are so smart and give such great feedback, and they've really helped us develop the app. On the other side, we also have our partners who are the merchants themselves, and they become this really tight group as well, who we communicate with and give that perspective. So using secret Facebook groups as a way to communicate, so it's not public, so people can kind of say all the bad things they want to say, if like they're frustrated and they, they don't, but but they can if they wanted to.
Yeah. So there will be bugs and there will be fixes.
Yeah. So, and we can all kind of talk and we, figure it all out together. But it's really, really helped us stay close to the user experience and develop that. So that's one tactic that sort of helped us, especially in those stages as we were kind of evolving the product. Another, we use Facebook ads. The technology on Facebook is just fantastic for targeting. There are all sorts of amazing strategies. Yeah. So, I mean, you could do a whole show. You could do a whole series of shows on Facebook ads. So that's definitely a channel that we use. But really, we grow by...
Speaking of that, what kind of Facebook ads do you like to target?
Because we're a mobile app, we really look at mobile ads specifically. And so we have deep linking, which is a really cool new technology that Facebook has added to their ad platform. So when someone taps a link on Facebook in a post that maybe we're promoting or an ad, it actually will launch the app on their phone. So for example, say I am talking about a brand new menu item at the Porch restaurant, which is this gorgeous Southern style restaurant down the street from us. They've got this amazing carrot cake with fresh fig spread that's just from the farm and just amazing. I just posted about that right now. If I have a link there that says book it now, a person can click that link and it'll open the app and they'll be able to go to that page where they book their reservation right there. So it's sort of on-demand reservation straight to their phone. So that makes it a lot easier. So that's an ad strategy. If you have an app, take a look at deep linking. It's brand new, but if you ever have a background in like website marketing, it's kind of similar to that sort of thing. Yeah, so that's been very successful. Obviously, visual marketing. Yeah. And I'm lucky. I get all these beautiful pictures of cakes and souffles, and it's so easy to put it out there and make people want it, because it's so good. And so yeah, the biggest growth tactic really has been our community events. And for that, we actually hired a street team or interns as well. So we've recruited some community members to help us talk about the app, go out to our events and help users really just install it on their phones and explain how to use it. And really that one-on-one communication has been invaluable. It's been really the way that people can see it and try it themselves and understand it. Because when you think about it, this is a pretty new sort of technology. Everybody's heard of Uber, but it's not really something that they think about when they think about going to a restaurant.
Restaurant, yes.
So once you try it, it makes a lot more sense, and it's very convenient. And there's sort of this aha moment where people their faces light up and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so easy. I'm going to use this from now on. But getting them there really takes a personal demonstration. So we've hosted these events at our restaurants, and we've got breweries, so there's great places that people already love. And what we do is we have a requested happy hour where we advertise the fact that they can come in for this dynamic price, which is, at a discount lower than normal, and they can use the app to pay for it. We also give them credits on the app. So not only are they getting a discount, but they're getting dollars toward their bill. So their first snack or their first beverage is basically on us for them to give it a try. So that way, we've just found if they just try it, they're hooked. So these events have been a way to really onboard users and get them on the app.
Awesome. So this is great. But we have mostly talked about onboarding of the customers.
Yes.
You're a two-sided market. And from what I've heard, it's very hard to convince restaurant owners because every day they are being approached by several people who have new apps or marketing people who want to sell their services to restaurant owners. And again, like you mentioned, restaurant owners are busy people and they don't have the time to sit down. So what's your like how does your sales and marketing team convince them to get on board and try requested? I mean, they have to change their point of sales system and everything to integrate with your system, so it will be a big deal for them to come on board. So how do you convince them?
It does seem that way at first, but what's really interesting is, one, like I've said before, we have the advantage of the fact that we are people who have worked in the restaurant industry, and we're it's a very tight-knit group in any market. So it's sort of this funny thing when you start to meet people in the restaurant industry in one market like Sacramento, or even San Francisco, we've experienced this too. There are really just a handful of major leaders in the space. And if you can convince them, you can convince everyone. And I mean, this is because we're working with independent merchants. We're not looking at chains and franchises. So, we target the influencers, the people who we know will be able to sort of tell everybody else and be willing to take a try, take a chance on it. But really, we're doing things that make it easier for the merchants. So the first thing we do is we've made their payment process simpler. So when they have requested, they actually save 10 minutes on average per table. That's time their servers can be serving other people. They can be doing things in the restaurant to move more people through it. We're the only product out there that really has real-time demand generation for restaurants. So there's this feeling of, oh my gosh, I can get the customers I want whenever I want them. I mean, that's like the holy grail of marketing, and it's starting to happen for our merchants. So that carrot that we hold out and we're telling them about the benefits, that's enough to make them want to try it. The other is that we don't have contracts. So if they really don't like it, they can be off within 24 hours, and we haven't really lost anybody. So we know that at least from the merchant side, retention is 100%. It's fantastic.
How many merchants are on board right now with you?
So you actually hit a good point when you talked about the POS systems that we incorporate. Because it seems like every single restaurant has a different point of sale system. So we are fluent in 17 different POS systems right now and how to incorporate them. And it takes about 15 minutes for us to set up the app for them. So it's not a huge process. We just switch them on in 15 minutes. We actually give them an iPad that has the app itself on it. So it enables them to have, so there's a merchant side of the app basically that they set up next to their POS station. So the only thing that we really have to program into that point of sale system is the little button that says, discount or whatever, just so they can notate it and match the two. But we're actually processing the payments through requested and paying them out, at the end of the day, the end of the week, whatever they want to do, just like a credit card company would. So yeah, it's not a huge change from what they're already doing. So the first thing is that we've just made the payment process much simpler for them. We've made it simpler on the server because the server doesn't have to worry about splitting checks or going to make sure the POS system is free because maybe there's a bunch of tables and now they have to wait in line to enter the check, and then they have to bring it back and wait for them to determine the tip and all of that. It's a whole process that we're basically eliminating. The server doesn't even have to worry about. The customer's done, the customer leaves, and the server just closes it out in the app, and the email or the receipt is emailed to the customer. It's nice and easy. The other thing is that there's no cost up front for requested. So a merchant only pays a small percentage of the total check when it's processed through requested. So they're only paying for the marketing when it delivers business and revenue straight to their bottom line. So one very cool thing that we found is that if a merchant, our average request amount is about $30, $32. So if a merchant accepts just 10 requests a day and fills 10 orders at that amount per day with requested, they're actually adding $47,000 a year to their bottom line. So with all of that in mind, with the cost benefits, with the fact that they're taking stress off the servers, they're getting, on average, servers are getting better tips because we default the tip amount to 20%, even though as a user you can put it down to 0 if you want to. You have to go in and adjust it. That way they're getting better quality customers, they're getting better revenue, and again, they're driving demand exactly when they need it and only paying for marketing when it drives revenue to the bottom line. So like I said, there's no reason why a restaurant wouldn't do it.
So two things.
Yeah.
How much,
Yeah.
is there a percentage that requested charges to merchants?
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear that.
Oh, is there a percentage that you charge to merchants, like 3% or whatever of the total bill?
There is, but it's a little variable right now because, like I said, they have different profit margins, and so there are things that we work out on a one-on-one basis with our merchants. So and also it sort of changes to if they're using requested a lot. So like anything like if you're doing like say you're an app company and you're using Stripe, for example. Stripe takes a percentage or PayPal takes a percentage, and the more you use it, the less percentage you get charged.
Okay.
We're kind of the same way. Yeah. So I can't really give you like a flat rate, but basically, yeah.
There's no flat rate, it's based on the usage.
The usage and the situation. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
So how many merchants do you have on board today?
Today we have, I believe, 25 live. And the reason for that is that we have, 30 that are ready to go. We're just setting up appointments. Like I said,
merchants
are very busy. So half the battle is just being able to get in the room with them. So everybody's saying yes, it's just a matter of getting there. So, we've got this great team that is every single day, hitting the merchants and getting in there. And that's really kind of like, it's almost like we just have so many people who want it. We're now like just trying to catch up and learn all the different POS systems and get it in there. So, and that's just in Sacramento. We have 5 in Roseville right now who we're going to be kind of going in there and moving that market and blowing that up. And then we're going to go back to San Francisco and kind of go there too. So it's very exciting. We had to get the product right first. And like I said, it's only like 2 weeks old. And we were like, hey, we got it. Yeah, now it's just fine tuning, things in the product. But like we feel like we nailed it. And so we're really excited to just start pushing it. So this has been, great talking to you. Hopefully we can talk again and we'll be nationwide. Yeah.
Some data and numbers as to what's working.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Awesome. Well, we wish you all the best, and definitely I'll give Requested a try. So when you launch in San Francisco, let me know. We'll give it a try. And, to all our viewers and listeners, this has been great. If you live in the Sacramento area, do give it a try and let us know what you think. This has been great, Dani. Great talking to you. Thank you for being with us on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
Same here. Take care. Bye now.
Bye.